Something that I've been wondering for quite a while now, probably since like the 5th anniversary jailbreak update, is how long is jailbreak realistically going to last? Like, how long do we realistically think jailbreak has left? Because believe it or not, in the current day, jailbreak is still maintaining a consistent player count of like 10 to 20,000, which is kind of a miracle for what jailbreak is now. It is an extremely impressive feat considering how many blunders that Badimo has made with the game thus far. And even when you look at the financial side of things, I have the firm belief that Badimo is still doing really well thus far. I'm sure they're still making more than enough money off of things like game passes and season passes and whatnot. And so when you think about how community enthusiasm is pretty much at an all-time low, and the support for the game in terms of updates is pretty much dead, it is very surprising to see jailbreak still in its place. So it's very clear that performance-wise and financially, jailbreak is doing just fine, but once you look at like the community's perspective, it is very clear that a lot of people are very, very, very unhappy with the current state of the game. A lot of people are not really that fond of the monotony of seasons and robberies, and a lot of people especially really do not like the robbery group update that they made to the game because it essentially just changed up the way that criminal gameplay works. And especially me, I would consider myself to be a part of this group because I am sick of seasons and I am sick of a lot of the robberies in this game. I do not like the artificial ways of getting players to keep coming back to the game, just essentially running how the game is updated. And I think it's only a matter of time before a lot more players are going to start adopting this philosophy because really the only things we've been getting are seasons, limited vehicles, safe revamps, and things that contribute to trading. And the more we get those kinds of things, the more people are going to realize that they're not actually getting more game to play. We're being deprived of actual gameplay features and stuff like that. And of course, I know that Badimo did announce that they're really pulling back on adding more gameplay additions and features, and I completely understand why they made that announcement, but at the same time, I also understand that this way of updating the game is not really gonna end well in the long run. And so you combine that with the fact that a lot of the updates that came out in recent years haven't had the best quality, it makes a lot of sense to me that Jailbreak's inevitable fate is to be dead in a ditch, just to be forgotten about. Because I'll get to these things in future videos of mine, but I really don't think that things like Crater City, or Hyperchromes, or Airdrops, or the CEO, or crew battles were at all worthy additions that were justified to be put into the game. And there are also so many other mediocre to just straight up bad updates that trust in Badimo has essentially flatlined. I have a very sharp memory of the 2024 live event hype cycle because a lot of people in the community were constantly saying that we need to keep our expectations low out of fear of Badimo not living up to what they promised. And when I tried to speak out against this pessimism, I was silenced, and that's why I think at least those who are higher up in the jailbreak community hierarchy know the current state of jailbreak and are also unhappy with it. It is very widely believed that the current state of jailbreak is very sorry and dire. And it's been like this for probably nearly 2 years now, especially since like the beginning of 2023. More and more people have been expressing their distaste for the game so much, and it's just very sad to see, in my opinion. I don't think that's a bold claim. And you do have that other side of the fan base that kind of prefers how jailbreak is handled nowadays, and they constantly say that, oh, Badimo is probably trying their best to deliver to the fans, oh, they're trying their best, don't have your expectations so high. But honestly, I just find this kind of lenience to be very shallow and kind of reductive to Badimo's ability to make great stuff for the game, and at that, it's kind of reductive to the art of indie development. It's just that a lot of updates have so many flaws because Badimo just makes the wrong decisions most of the time. And while most people are probably gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, I'm just over here thinking, why can't they make the right decisions? Why can't these updates be the best that they could possibly be? Like, I saw them do the monthly update thing, and I saw how update quality got progressively worse as time progressed, largely because they put that schedule upon themselves, and I'm just like, that's fucking stupid. Y'all are fucking stupid. Don't do that. Give yourself some time to actually make great updates. Because at least in my case, I always look towards Spark the Electric Jester, because that game was made by one person pretty much for free. The only money that went into this game was through a Kickstarter, and all of the money that came from that was just put into the budget for the music. So the game that you're seeing right here was pretty much made out of pure passion, and not a dime was spent on the actual gameplay. And when you actually look at the gameplay and you play it for the first time, you'll realize that it is a damn solid game packed with content and awesome gameplay. It is a video game where the developer Lake Fepper just made the right decisions, and the game is really good because of it, and people love the Spark games because of it. So riddle me this, when Jailbreak is made in a similar fashion, why can't Jailbreak adopt that philosophy of just doing the right things for the game instead of doing wrong things? That's partly why in my videos I'm very harsh towards Badimo and towards Jailbreak as a whole, because I know that there is a possibility where Jailbreak could just do the right things 100%, and just not be what it is now. The notion that a lot of the community has adopted of, oh, they're just doing their best, is completely irrelevant for me, because I know what their best looks like, and I love it, and I want more of that, but I can't get more of that because they don't care to give me more of that. And I feel like a large amount of the Jailbreak community, and at that, a lot of people that used to play Jailbreak feels the exact same way. Especially in like late 2020 and in 2021, they added so many things that very much alienated a lot of players from the game because Badimo just stopped updating the game in a way that a lot of people liked. Say during that time the game was handled differently and was more in line with what people expected from Badimo, I'd think we'd be in a much better place in terms of Jailbreak's performance. It could have easily obtained much more icon status, like on the level of like Murder Mystery 2, but we are living in the timeline where that is simply not the case, and that is just not possible. That is just where I would have loved to see Jailbreak performing, but we are not living in that timeline, and the timeline that we are living in is honestly very sad. And what I really don't like is how some of the members of the community really try to convince others that Jailbreak is not in a sorry state and that it's doing just fine. No, it isn't! It's not! I've said before that the only aspect that Jailbreak is doing well in is finance, and in terms of like the actual game, it's not. The creative purity that it once had has been gone for a long time. And if we don't start getting major gameplay fixes and major gameplay changes, I have the firm belief that the game is definitely going to wane. And a large amount of the Roblox community as a whole really doesn't care about Jailbreak. When you mention Jailbreak around like casual Roblox players, they're always like, oh my god, Jailbreak? That old game? Why are you still talking about that game? That game fell off a long time ago. I've had friends of mine that have had that exact same reaction when I bring up Jailbreak around them, and it lends credence to the fact that Jailbreak definitely still has a semblance of, like, public attention. It just did not capitalize on it, and most people don't care about it because they made so many mistakes in their updates. And that's also why a lot of prominent YouTube creators stopped playing Jailbreak in their videos, because they simply were tired of how the game was being handled back then. And so nowadays, public enthusiasm for Jailbreak is at an all-time low. There are very few people that actually care about the game nowadays. And so if Badimo wants to keep the current Jailbreak player base and keep players caring about Jailbreak, they're gonna need to get rid of this stupid bloat philosophy and add new gameplay features. Because the excuse that they've been using to avoid adding more gameplay features is that they are fearing the idea of quote-unquote bloating the game with too many features and ideas to make the game super inconsistent and whatnot. but I don't feel like that's true at all. There are still things in the game that need to be revamped, and there are a lot of ideas that the community has for the game that realistically should have been added to the game thus far. I don't think giving players new game to play is going to inflate the game too much, if at all. And I know people are going to say, oh, what about the tanker? That had a new gameplay feature, had its little explosion gimmick. Okay, cool. How about every car in the game could do that? Why does it have to be limited to that vehicle-specific gimmick? No, I'm not asking for the suicide bomber button to be added to every vehicle, and I'm not asking for every vehicle to automatically explode once they lose their health. I'm just asking for all vehicles having the ability to explode because I think that would be pretty fun. There's simply no such thing as bloat in this game. You can't add too much game to a video game. I don't think that's possible. But aside from bloat, if the developers and people that are close to the developers want to say that the game is not dead, that may be true in terms of finance and how much money they're making off of the players. It is certainly not going to be true soon enough because people are going to realize that the current state of Jailbreak is actually pretty bad. Unless Badimo truly locks in and gives players what they want in terms of features and bug fixes and optimization, Jailbreak is going to die. And especially now, I'm not even sure Badimo even cares about Jailbreak that much because most of their resources have been diverted to whatever their new game is. All I'll say about that is that they better pray to God that it's as much of a success as Jailbreak when it first came out, because if it isn't, Badimo as a game development studio is going to be dead in the water. All I'm really hoping for is another Jailbreak-like game to come along and claim the throne that Jailbreak is inevitably going to leave. Possibly even a game that really changes how the prison genre works. Because if something like that doesn't happen, where are Jailbreak fans supposed to go when the game inevitably dies? Because there's no other game like Jailbreak that has actual decent support. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you get the full picture now. Badimo has made so many mistakes with the game to the point where public enthusiasm is at an all-time low as of now, and I really do not like the abhorrent dishonesty that the developers and the testers are feeding to the community, and really the only way to save Jailbreak is if they really lock in and give us some crazy new gameplay features. But honestly, I feel like we all know that Badimo is no longer interested in doing any of those sort of things because they're more interested in making money off of the game to fund their other stuff and just to have money in general. And those philosophies have really alienated a lot of players because frankly, the game is not what it used to be and people like what it used to be, so they're not going to touch it. I just wanted to make this video because I saw a few threads on the Jailbreak subreddit detailing how Jailbreak is destined to die with its current state, which I very much agree with, and I just kind of wanted to respond to some of the replies that had some questionable takes. And I also really do not like how a lot of other community members make out this idea that people stop playing Jailbreak because they got tired of playing prison games, which I honestly just find to be a very shallow and wrong way to look at things. Like, I just think it'd be much less of a waste of time to actually consider and analyze why people stop playing Jailbreak. Like, if you're just gonna boil it down to just people are tired of playing Jailbreak, why? Why are people tired of playing Jailbreak and games like Jailbreak? You could say the exact same thing about so many other games, but with those games aren't dead, so what's the issue? It is a similar thing to superhero fatigue and how people are saying that people are just generally tired of superhero movies, but whenever good superhero movies come out, they do pretty well, so I don't know what the issue is there. I think people are just fear-mongering and lying, and I feel it is a very similar situation to Jailbreak and games like Jailbreak, like Mad City and whatnot. I'm just a little more optimistic about Jailbreak than a lot of people realize because I see a Jailbreak that could have been successful. I see a Jailbreak that could have been a really good game compared to how it is now, where it's a very mediocre to just a straight up bad game. And to answer that question, because Jailbreak has made so many mistakes and because it is a very mediocre game, I feel like the full closure and death of Jailbreak is very much imminent and coming very soon. So if Badimo wants to continue game development, and if they want game development to be successful for them, they better hope that their next project is not as much of a flop as Rocketeers.